Hello and welcome to the JB&M Sports Fanatic channel. Thank you for joining me for this video. And it seems that the Bears, they're willing to give Justin Fields an opportunity at a chance at earning the Bears starting quarterback job heading into training camp. Now, you would normally assume that obviously drafting him in the first round, quite sure you had to give him a chance to come in and start. But early on, even before they made this selection here, they had named Andy Dalton the starter, and pretty much their way of convincing Andy Dalton to join the Chicago Bears was that they pretty much told him that the starting job was his to lose essentially. And then after, drafting Justin Fields, they still was harping that Andy Dalton would be their guy. And I mean, we've seen throughout the past that obviously there has been plenty of times where the rookie quarterback seems like he would be the better option, and they opt to remain with the current starter. In this case, the guy that they just brought in free agency, they want to give the veteran, put the veteran in, and give the rookie quarterback some time to continue to develop. So it's going to be up to Justin Fields showing that he's, beyond where Andy Dalton is. And so just to recap, Andy Dalton's this past season and throughout his career as well. When you look at what he's done since he's been in the league, he was drafted in the second round, from Cincinnati Bengals. But in terms of his actual numbers, when you look at particularly the last couple of seasons, throughout his entire career, he has started 133 games, and he has a quarterback record of 74 wins, 66 losses, and two ties. He is a 62% completion passer for 33,764 yards and 218 touchdowns to 126 interceptions. So when you look at that, the numbers sound pretty good. However, this past season, he started 9 games, had a record of 4-5. He was 65% completion basically for 2,170 yards and 14 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. And that right there is big because when you look at, according to Pro Football Focus, Andy Dalton had a 69.6 overall. According to its 2020 grade that they gave him, his 14 passing touchdowns was 25th in the league. And his passing yards for 2,169 was 29th. Now, obviously, he did not start off the season as the starter. Dak Prescott did get hurt, but there was definitely plenty of time to where, with the weapons that the Cowboys had, you have to take that into account as well. Amari Cooper, CD Lamb, Michael Gallup, all those weapons that they have, Zeke. So he wasn't out there, with some scrubs and stuff. So certainly, that played a part as well. And he was only able to get 14 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions. And generally, when you look at where he ranked amongst quarterbacks this past season, they have him ranked, according to team rankings, they have him 25th on the list. And so that's behind guys like Jared Goff, Mitchell Trubisky, guys like that. So Gardner Minshew. So yeah, so that is the guy who the Chicago Bears would like to ideally have start off the season and give Justin Fields some time to develop. You also got to consider that they still have Nick Foles as well, mostly because they really can't get rid of him due to the salary cap implications that it would cost to part ways with him. So it's better just to keep him. And yeah, Nick Foles last year with the Chicago Bears, he got to start 7 games, had a record of 2-5. I believe they implemented him into the starting lineup after Mitchell Trubisky basically had the Bears like undefeated at that time. But it obviously wasn't pretty. And so they put him in, I believe, against the Falcons. And so he was able to lead that comeback. But that would be the only bright spot really that he had last year. But he finished with 10 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions. So almost similar to what Andy Dalton was able to produce this past season. Similar completion percentage. So yeah, the Bears basically just brought in another, I guess you can say, Nick Foles with the veteran experience that can just to come in and hold down the ship until they feel that Justin Fields is ready. Now, obviously, the fans, they want Justin Fields in immediately. And that's definitely something that the Bears are going to have to consider because the fans, they've seen enough. They've been through enough throughout the years in terms of quarterbacks that they've had to deal with. And so they certainly want to have that quarterback that can go out there and just, light it up. And so they really want to see what Justin Fields can do, and they want to see it early. So if the Bears do opt to start Andy Dalton, they can't go out there and start off slow. They're going to have to go out there and start off fast like they did last year in order to, hold back the chance for Justin Fields to go out there. So certainly, we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, whatever happens throughout training camp, we'll have to pay attention to a lot of the team reporters for the Bears. Whatever the coaches are saying. And then once we get preseason, see how they do split the snaps. How much first team reps is Justin Fields actually getting? Is he retaining the playbook? I know Tua Tagovailoa, he mentioned last season he wasn't as familiar with the playbook, and so we'll see how quickly Justin Fields is able to catch on to the playbook and how he'll be able to, master it. That's going to be extremely critical for him in terms of getting on the field sooner, and so we'll see just how that continues to play out. But throughout Justin Fields' collegiate career with Ohio State, we'll mostly talk about Ohio State. In 2 seasons, 63 passing touchdowns to 9 interceptions. You have to love that. About 68% completion, over 5,000 passing yards when you combine those 2 seasons. Even at Georgia, he was 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. They just really didn't utilize him that much. But yeah, certainly. Tremendous, tremendous talent, and excited to see what a lot of people believe to be, one of the top two, top three quarterbacks in this past draft, because there was quite a few good ones out there, to see what he's able to do for the Chicago Bears. So they have to be excited for that this season. I know that Bear fans, they probably went in there not expecting it, but they're certainly excited to have it. And so, yeah, with that being said, though, thank you so much for joining me for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, as more stuff continues to come out, I'll be happy to cover that. So thanks again for watching, and see you guys next time.